Hello, this is lecture 4 in my series of lectures on consciousness based on my book, Theory of Consciousness. Now the main postulate that we came up with at the beginning of the book was that all changes in momentum and therefore all forces are due to the intelligent behaviors of conscious entities. And then we took it farther and we looked at physics a bit for some ideas about what might be going on, especially at the microscopic or quantum level realm, space-time realm, where things move much faster and the time increments that are important for those processes are much shorter than they are for, say, the biological time realm for me and other living things. So in the last couple of lectures, we've looked at the way nature builds particles according to modern science, and in terms of fermions and bosons. And then we look further at the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which gave us a clue as to why we don't really see much detail or much complicated behavior from microscopic quantum space-time realm particles. And the idea was that their behavior is averaged out, and that comes directly from consideration of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, as we saw last time. So I just want to take a minute or two to kind of summarize the findings, which I've expressed in the book at least as postulates. For example, here's postulate 12, and it states that intelligent entities in the quantum realm live at almost infinitely faster speed than intelligent entities in larger, slower realms, such as me and you. Nevertheless, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle also predicts that time does exist. It's just the increments of time are much smaller for quantum realm intelligent entities than they are for you and me. And a conjecture that I come up with is conjecture 3 from the book, also, by the way, from chapter 10, I believe. From the perspective of individual entities that live in a realm, their behaviors are intelligent and complicated and time-dependent, like the behaviors of biological entities. Okay, and then we took it even further to summarize in another postulate. Behavior observed by entities in larger, slower realms, say our biological realm, represents the averaged and smoothed intelligent behavior of statistical ensembles, huge numbers of entities from smaller, faster space-time realms. And I just pop out in the book another conjecture 4, that I believe it's only logical to assume that since we as biological entities have feelings and emotions and thoughts, that entities in the quantum realms also have these, and that perhaps the way nature works with consciousness is that entities are fractal in nature, with structure in consciousness at smaller, faster space-time realms, leading to the structures in consciousness that exist at larger, slower space-time realms. Now, one other very important thing that came out of our investigation of what's going on in the quantum space-time realms is that we saw that at least in those realms, bosons, which are integer spin particles like gluons and photons and perhaps gravitons, and those types of quantum realm particles are the force carrier particles between fermions. And that's what gives rise to the forces in the quantum realm. Well, if that is true, then one might say, and this will have some familiarity, bosons are force carrier particles, hence they are consciousness particles. As the Bible says, let there be light. And as the colloquialism says, I saw the light. The light is the consciousness. Now, finally, we have a few more postulates from chapter 10. We've already said this, but we reiterate it, that all nuclei, nuclear particles, electrons, atoms, and molecules are designed, inhabited, and operated by quantum realm intelligent entities. We don't know what they look like. We can't see them. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle doesn't let us see what they see. So we just don't know what they're like. But I would not be surprised if, from their perspective, nature and what they see could be similar to what we see. Are there mountains in the nuclear realm? Are there oceans? We don't know. We have no clue. We can't know. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle prevents us from knowing exactly what's going on there. We only observe the average behavior of entire universes or civilizations of these intelligent quantum realm entities. But there's another aspect too. The fact that quantum realm entities, especially electromagnetic quantum realm entities that use photons as force carrier particles, they design biological structures, the DNA, they design the molecules, everything, not just quote-unquote living systems, but all atoms, all molecules are designed by quantum realm intelligent entities. And the question that popped into my mind when I was thinking about biological entities is, why do biological entities evolve with time? Why have they evolved with time? Why did we go from single cell to multi-cell to amphibians and reptiles and dinosaurs? Evolution occurs, changes occur in the structures of the biological entities built by the quantum realm entities. They are designing structures that will survive the best in the conditions that prevail. The quantum realm entities that design biological structures are not perfect. They're like us. They do the best they can. They make improvements as time goes on. And evidently, quantum realm entities can make mistakes and learn from them, just like us. And it also confirms that time exists for quantum realm entities. So that's kind of where I'll leave it for quantum realm entities for right now, because we need to look at one other realm, the astronomical or gravitational space-time realm. And that's a little bit more complicated because the present theories that have been successful in looking at gravity, the most successful is Einstein's general theory of relativity. And in that theory, he postulated that space-time itself is curved, and his predictions have been confirmed. In fact, most recently, gravitational waves of the type that he predicted were observed using, I think, what are they called? Anyway, they observed them when two black holes collapsed into each other, and gravitational waves were produced by that collapse and fit exactly what Einstein predicted from the curvature of space-time. But there's another theory of gravitation based on bosons, and the bosons that can also successfully predict the behavior of gravitational forces are gravitons, which are spin 2, massless and chargeless, and travel at the speed of light, just like the other fundamental bosons, except for the weak force bosons, which move more slowly because they have mass. We discussed that last time. The existence of gravitons, or the bosons that might be responsible for gravity, has not been confirmed yet. They're very low energy. And perhaps they will be in our lifetimes, I'm not sure. It is also interesting in the gravitational or astronomical space-time realm that the gravitational forces can be extremely strong. In a black hole, for example, the gravitation is so large that it can essentially overcome nuclear forces. So the gravitational forces seem to operate not only at the astronomical, huge space-time realm where it takes 100,000 years to cross a galaxy at the speed of light, but they can also operate in the nuclear realm where, it's 10 to the minus 15th meters is the extent of the nuclear forces. So it's quite bizarre and puzzling. I haven't figured out that part yet. I hope someone will someday. Okay, so that gives you the gist of the ideas I present in this book about consciousness. That intelligent, conscious entities, individual entities, live everywhere in this universe. Whether it's in atoms that are not part of biological systems, those structures exist and forces exist there. There are intelligent entities at the quantum realm that build those structures too. They are everywhere. So then, what happens when a biological entity dies? What happens to the consciousness? Well, from my scientific background, I know, and I know, it doesn't. You don't even need the scientific background to realize it. That when a human, for example, dies, the perfect and beautiful biological structures at both the microscopic and macroscopic level that were created by the quantum realm intelligent entities, those larger structures decompose and break back down into atoms and molecules, and they no longer exist as the biological entities. But does that mean that consciousness disappears? I don't think so. I think I bring, as I say in the book, tidings of comfort and joy. I think that when a human or a dog or any biological entity dies, there's a transition back to the quantum space-time realm of the entities that built the biological entity at the larger space-time realm. And furthermore, I think that because the quantum realm entities that build biological entities know exactly what they're building, and because they have feelings and emotions and intelligence, and their emotions and intelligence are similar in kind to biological entities, I believe that they're aware of every experience, everything that a given biological entity has experienced, and it is not the end of consciousness. It's rejoining the space-time realm, the quantum space-time realm of the much smaller entities that build us. And furthermore, another aspect of that is because atoms, molecules, and nuclei are stable. They're stable things. I mean, an oxygen atom, except for when it does undergo some kind of nuclear decay from the weak nuclear interaction, but that's pretty rare. When it exists as a stable structure for almost infinite amount of time. It doesn't change. That suggests that the quantum realm entities that built it have stabilized their behavior, have, I hope, achieved happiness, love, and kindness everywhere. Heaven. I think that the quantum realm entities that build biological entities are more advanced than we are. We're just their crude structures that they're working on to keep building up intelligence, more intelligent structures in the universe. I think they know everything about us, and they just keep plugging away, and we're their product. So we don't disappear when we die. We transition to, hopefully, a happier, kinder, more loving world of the quantum realm entities that build us. So I'll pick it up from there next time with the final lecture. And until then, have fun.